Welcome back to Structures Unchained. This is Toronto, Canada's biggest city, the place that's been pulling people in for decades. And now it's out of slack. Since getting across the city feels like a daily mission, Toronto is spending around $30 billion to extend downtown, without pouring a brand new island into Lake Ontario. Here's what that extension actually looks like. A 15.6-kilometer rapid transit spine with 15 stations. A waterfront flood protection rebuild that flips about 240 hectares to buildable space. A new major transit interchange that's supposed to act like a second Union Station. A complete rework of the Gardiner Lakeshore choke zone, while millions of people still expect Monday to function. And a waterfront site with a very public scar, being rebooted into a real neighborhood. Instead of adding land, they're doing it by rebuilding the systems that make downtown feel bigger, because the real size of a city isn't its borders. It's how far you can move in 30 minutes. But every Torontonian has doubt about these plans, because Toronto has a word for "we'll believe it when we ride it" Eglinton. And here's the February 2026 twist. Line 5 is finally open. People are riding it. Toronto finally got to feel what done feels like. But the years didn't vanish on opening day, because 15 years of traffic, lack of progress, and shifting dates will not be so easily forgotten. So now every new megaproject promise lands under the same pressure. And that's why the Ontario line isn't just a subway project. It's a trust rebuild. Toronto has been asking Line 1 to do too much for too long. When it clogs, the ripple spreads everywhere. One stressed interchange, and the whole system feels heavier than it should. The Ontario line is the attempt to change the geometry. 15.6 kilometers, 15 stations. From Exhibition Place, through the core, across the Don, up to Don Mills and Eglinton, on the site of the former Ontario Science Centre. And that station choice is already a perfect Toronto detail. The Science Centre name is still there, even though the building isn't, a transit hub outliving its own landmark. But the bigger point is this. On paper, it's a new line, but the flow has to work. One clean ride, one clean transfer. That's the win condition, not a headline, a lighter morning. And here's the part that raises the stakes. The Ontario line is designed as fully automated, GOA4, with platform edge doors and modern signaling. It's built to run tight and consistent. If it performs cleanly, people normalize it fast. If it's glitchy early, it will feel like an incomplete project. And now that Eglinton is finally moving, Toronto's tolerance for almost is basically gone. Because the city isn't looking for another promise. It's looking for relief that shows up on time and keeps showing up. Now, once you build a new spine, the next question hits immediately. Where do you connect it so the whole region benefits, not just downtown? That's where East Harbour comes in. Toronto's regional rail gravity has a name, Union. Too much funnels through one place, and when everything converges in one station, every delay becomes louder, and every commute becomes more fragile. East Harbour is the attempt to build another door. A major interchange where GO trains meet the Ontario line, planted right on the east edge of the core, beside the Don Valley and Lakeshore, on land that used to be industrial background. And this project has a simple, brutal win condition. It has to de-stress the transfer. And here's the test. It's the first rainy Monday where someone coming in on GO switches to the subway without breaking stride. Because the best transit hubs don't feel like landmarks. They disappear into routine. And there's another reason this hub matters. It's not just a station. It's an anchor for the next growth wave. If East Harbour works, downtown doesn't just get a new edge. It gets a new pressure valve. And right beside that valve, Toronto is doing the other impossible thing. Not just moving people, building land. This is the visual shock project. Because if you didn't grow up here, this part sounds fake. Toronto is basically carving a new river mouth through old industrial ground. So a huge slice of near downtown land stops being labeled flood risk. For decades, the Don's outlet was industrial geometry. In a major storm, that geometry becomes a bottleneck. So the Portlands project isn't make the waterfront nicer. It's an engineering rewrite, a naturalized river mouth, new channels, wetlands rebuilt to absorb surge, raised grades and bridges so the water has somewhere to go. And as of February 2026, the big story is this: the flood protection system is basically at the finish line. The make it safe part, the reason any of this exists, is essentially done. And you can already see the city flipping from construction site to usable shoreline, because a major piece of public realm is already real. Bidasiga Park opened in July 2025. So now this project stops being a build story and becomes a performance story. Because here's the real test nobody can hide from. February, wind off the lake, slush, that gray Toronto cold that makes everything feel harder. So the question becomes, did Toronto build a waterfront for Instagram, or did it build a shoreline that actually works in winter? And out of this protected land comes Uquamin Minising, formerly Villiers Island, a brand new neighborhood pipeline. The opportunity is rare. You get to set street logic, parks, schools, and public space close to downtown from day one. But the expectation is also brutal. This land costs too much to be hollow. Toronto has built pretty from above waterfront living before. This can't be that. And whether it connects to the city smoothly depends on the corridor that people experience every single day. If you want to know how Toronto is really doing, don't look at renderings. Look at brake lights. The Gardiner and Lakeshore corridor is one of those systems people feel in their body. A lane shift can ruin your evening. A closure becomes a Monday story for half the city. And as of February 2026, the Gardiner story has one encouraging signal. One major stretch finished about 6 months early in late 2025. That matters because this city is starving for examples where something actually lands. But now the work is shifting into the toughest zone, the East End reconfiguration, exactly where everything else is also happening. During the May to July 2026 FIFA World Cup window, the plan is a pause in key Gardiner Lane reduction pain, because Toronto can't afford a visible transportation meltdown when the world is watching. Then the pause ends, and the work ramps back up. And it points to the hardest question of the entire Extend Downtown plan. Can Toronto sequence all of this in the same tight geography, East Harbour, Portlands, Gardiner/Lakeshore, without turning the waterfront into a permanent detour people never forgive? If people decide that area is always a mess, they route around it for years. Now, there's one last site, arguably the most reputation heavy, because it already has a story attached to it. Quayside isn't just a development site, it's a memory. This was the waterfront project that became a global headline and then collapsed, teaching Toronto to be skeptical of the future. So the comeback can't be another shiny plan. It has to be housing people can actually live in, public space you'd use even if you don't live there, streets that still feel good in February, not just brochure weather. And as of February 2026, Quayside has a quiet but important milestone. The enabling and servicing work is finishing now, this month. Then later this year, the first residential construction is expected to begin. And Quayside needs one thing more than anything: proof early. Because waterfront projects have a classic failure mode. They build luxury first and promise community later. Quayside has to reverse that feeling. Front-load the everyday pieces people can touch: housing, parks, streets, a vibe that feels shared. That's what success looks like. Not hype, not branding, a place that works. Toronto's upcoming era isn't about finishing one mega project. It's about whether multiple systems start behaving like one city. Downtown Toronto won't just have a new edge, it'll have a new center of gravity. This is Structures Unchained.